Hello, and welcome to Challenge Solutions. My name is Caitlyn, and this episode is going to be the first in a series about using Voiceover for iOS. We'll start from the very beginning, assuming you know nothing about Voiceover, and work up to more advanced features. In today's episode, we'll be focusing on what Voiceover is and learning a few basic gestures. Voiceover is a screen reader that is built into all Apple devices. All Apple devices are completely accessible out of the box and can be set up from brand new completely independently using Voiceover if you are blind or visually impaired. There are 3 ways to enable Voiceover. If you have an older device that still has a home button, triple-click the home button. If your device is newer and does not have a home button, triple-click the side or power button that is used to lock the screen. You can also ask Siri to turn Voiceover on and turn Voiceover off, or go to Settings and Accessibility if you're running a newer version of iOS, or Settings, General, and Accessibility if you're running an older version of iOS. If your device is brand new and you triple-click the home or side button, you should hear Voiceover on. Then, Voiceover should walk you through the setup process. The next clip, if you are watching on YouTube, is going to be a screen recording, and I will show you the Voiceover settings screen and walk you through a few basic gestures to get you started using Voiceover. For those of you watching the video, you're now looking at the home screen of my iPad, which is running iOS 13.6.1. If you're listening to the Challenge Solutions podcast episode and you want to see the screen recording, you can click the YouTube link in the description. I'm going to show you where the Voiceover settings can be found and walk you through a few basic gestures. We'll start by opening Settings.
Settings. 1 new item. Settings.
Now we'll go to Accessibility. Note that if you're running an older version of iOS, you may need to go to General and then Accessibility.
Accessibility. Button. Accessibility. Heading. Accessibility features help you customize your iPad for your individual needs.
Now we'll go down to Voiceover.
Vision. Heading. Voiceover. On. Settings. Accessibility. Back button. Voiceover. Heading. Voiceover. On.
The first thing in the Voiceover menu is the toggle that will allow you to turn Voiceover on and off if asking Siri or using the triple-click accessibility shortcut fail. This is where you can go if you are a sighted parent or TVI and you want to turn Voiceover on manually. You'll also see that at the top of this menu, Voiceover gives you several basic gestures that are needed to interact with the device while Voiceover is on. Voiceover changes the way that you interact with your device to make it easier to use without vision. For instance, wherever a sighted person would tap on the screen to open or activate an icon, Voiceover users will double tap. I'm now going to demonstrate the gestures that were just explained in this menu, as well as a few extras that I think are useful for beginners to know. Flick left and right to move between items, so if I flick left,
To use the app switcher, slide up farther from the bottom until you hear the third sound and lift your finger.
you heard it read the previous gesture description in the Voiceover menu, and if I flick right,
To use the dock, slide 1 finger up from
you heard it read the description of the dock gesture, and I pause speech by tapping once with 2 fingers. To activate items, double tap. For instance, we'll go to the top of the screen and double tap the back button to go back to the main accessibility window.
Accessibility. Back button. Settings. Voiceover. On. Button.
Now we are back in the accessibility settings window. And if I double tap on Voiceover,
Accessibility. Back
we
button.
return to the Voiceover menu. To have Voiceover read the screen starting from the top, swipe up with 2 fingers.
Settings. Heading. Search. Search field. Dictate. Button.
Again, you can pause by tapping once with 2 fingers. To have Voiceover read from a specific point onward, tap the point where you want to begin or swipe to it with 1 finger and swipe down with 2 fingers. For instance, we'll tap on the screen,
Voiceover. On.
and if I swipe down with 2 fingers, it will read from that point.
Voiceover. On. Voiceover speaks items on the screen. Tap once to select an item. Double tap to activate the selected item. Swipe 3 fingers to scroll.
Again, I pause speech by tapping once with 2 fingers. To scroll, swipe up or down with 3 fingers. If I swipe up with 3 fingers,
Rows 5 to 17 of 17.
you heard it announce the number of rows, and it is now displaying the next section of the settings screen. And if I swipe down with 3 fingers,
Voiceover. On.
we're back to the page that we started on in the VoiceOver settings. To go to the icon in the very top left corner of the screen, tap near the top of the screen with 4 fingers.
Settings. Heading.
As you heard, we jumped to the Settings heading, which is in the top left corner of the screen. To go to the very bottom right corner of the screen, tap near the bottom with 4 fingers.
Double tap timeout. 0.25s. Button.
That took us to the very bottom of the VoiceOver settings screen. We will cover the double tap timeout setting more in the next tutorial. To go back a page, you can scrub on the screen with 2 fingers. This is a very quick up and down motion with 2 fingers on the screen. It acts similarly to the escape key on a computer keyboard. I will demonstrate that now.
Accessibility. Heading.
As you can hear, we've gone back to the main accessibility settings screen. If your device does not have a home button, you will need to use alternative gestures to access Home, App Switcher, Control Center, and Notification Center. To go home, place 1 finger near the very bottom edge of your device and slide up until you hear the first sound, or feel the first haptic if you're using an iPhone. As you heard, my iPad made a sound as I slid my finger upward, and once I heard the first sound, I lifted my finger and we were taken to the home screen. To access the App Switcher, slide 1 finger up until you hear the second sound or feel the second haptic. Then lift your finger.
App Switcher. Settings. Active. Actions available.
As you can hear, that opened the App Switcher, and if we want to close the Settings app which is running, we can swipe up with 3 fingers.
Fantastical.
Now we've been returned to the home screen. To access the Control Center, place 1 finger near the very top edge of your device and slide down until you hear the first sound. Then lift your finger.
Control Center. Airplane mode. Switch button. Off.
And to go back home, we'll slide 1 finger up from the bottom edge to the first sound and lift.
Fantastical.
As you can hear, we're back on the home screen. To access the Notification Center, place 1 finger near the top of the screen and slide down to the second sound. Then lift your finger.
Notifications. Do not disturb. 11:30 a.m.
As you can hear, we've opened notifications, and now we will perform the home gesture again, sliding 1 finger up from the bottom to the first sound and lifting.
Fantastical.
I'm now going to show you one more gesture that can be helpful if you're just learning VoiceOver. To open a VoiceOver help menu, double tap on the screen with 4 fingers.
Starting help. To stop help, perform a 4-finger double tap or 2-finger scrub, or press escape on the keyboard.
You just heard that VoiceOver help has been started, and to stop help, we can double tap with 4 fingers, 2-finger scrub, or press escape on a Bluetooth keyboard if it's connected. In this mode, you can perform gestures, and VoiceOver will tell you what they do without it having any effect on your device. For instance, I will swipe left with 1 finger.
1-finger swipe left. Move to previous item.
You heard it announce the gesture and its action. We'll swipe down with 2 fingers.
2-finger swipe down. Read all.
Again, you heard it say 2-finger swipe down and tell you that that gesture will read all. I'm now going to 2-finger scrub to stop help.
2-finger scrub. Escape. Stopping help.
And now we're back to the home screen. That concludes this introduction to VoiceOver for iOS. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below on YouTube or send a voice message via the Anchor app if you listen to the Challenge Solutions podcast. You can also send us an email via challengesolutions.org. Keep an eye on the Challenge Solutions YouTube channel, blog, and podcast for more tutorials like this one. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in another Challenge Solutions episode.